When I was young, you would go up to a stranger and start a conversation, but that way of doing things is dead.
So if you want to get nudie with a foodie, you can go to Dine. That's the way to get that done. The something and the something and the something and the something and something. Baby, there's nothing holding me back.
Hey, lovely podcast kittens. It's Cathy Cat.
And Ladybeard coming at you with another copy-pasting edition of Cat with Beard. We're not copy-pasting at all. This is all original content.
This is all original content, guys. And this time we're going to talk about how Japanese people find love.
Romance
in 2024, meaning the old way of dating apparently is over and there's no new ways of dating in this world.
It's over. The old ways are dead. Long live the king.
Of dating?
I thought it was an appropriate thing to say.
Of dating, the king of dating.
Yeah,
a silent moment there. It's a bit awkward, but we're good.
We're fine.
The reason why November 6th is actually the Omiyai Kinenbi, the day of arranged marriage. And now I hear a couple of my Western audience go, gasp, arranged marriage. That's been kind of a thing. The love relationship is fairly new in Japan.
Yeah, I would argue even in the Western world, I think really only the past 100 years or so have we been doing that, really.
But even more recent
more so in
Japan.
Big time.
And because it was so recent, there's still the generation of kids out there on the streets who their parents are still arranged marriages. And arranged marriages are still happening today. Why, how, and why they're so popular, even more popular than Tinder and such, we're going to talk about today. So if you are aiming on date someone or finding true love or finding love in Japan, there are a couple of things that are very different from the Western world. So look out for those so you can actually find someone without getting scammed or without getting into trouble, or actually knowing what she wants in you. So this is actually going to be an important episode.
It's a very important and informative episode. Just quick disclaimer, everyone, just be careful when you're on the internet. Yeah. Even when it's not a dating app, just around the place. Be careful of scams.
Be careful. Be very careful. Exactly. And we're going to give you some pointers on that. So first of all, why is arranged marriage still a thing? It literally happened until it started like in the Kamakura period, which was in
1185 till 1333.
So
look at that, 3 threes, 50% of the devil.
A lot of threes and with like also political marriages, which you know, let's be honest, the royals in our days
bringing together two families. It was about two families coming together, wasn't it?
But then they stayed on, and marriages stayed on from Edo to Showa, so until even the 1970s.
Really recently. That's right. You weren't allowed to marry who you wanted to marry. You got told by mum and dad, you're marrying them. And you were like, but I don't want to. They smell like cheese or something like that. It was like, shut up. You're marrying them. We don't care what you want.
Lots of forced marriages that could not be refused for the sake of the family or putting clans together, whatever. There were always reasons for that. Now, then 1945, World War II ended and Japan changed a little bit. So there was a Japanese law that changed as well. And marriage became an individual rather than a family affair. Until then, it was a family thing. Now it's your thing.
No, it's an individual matter. You can marry who you would like to marry.
Yeah, and then they entered a period of like economic growth and, you know, everything was changing and young people began to concentrate on urban areas. More and more people found their marriage partners at work.
In the old workplace, at the office, out on site. That's where you found a love in the 60s and 70s and what have you.
I guess there's also a time when more women were to be found at work.
Yeah, well, that's right.
And so there were actually some love marriages started to bloom. So that started kind of late-ish.
Romance blossomed.
And now the omiyai, so the arranged marriages, there still remain a form of free love-based marriage parties and marriage counseling service. There's a lot of arrangements around that. So you can still get your future partner through certain services, pages, and such. And they are even more popular in some cases than the dating apps that you might be using for a variety of reasons.
And sometimes even the government gets involved. And they have government-sponsored services to help you find true love.
Yeah, when things get really dire, so I wouldn't say that's not happening in Tokyo. But
things get really tight.
out in the countryside, out in the areas where there's less and less people and where people are moving away from, it's harder for people to find a partner.
And due to the demographic collapse, they're in desperate need of babies, so the government is incentivized to get people hooked up.
Yep. And so they have like marriage events and marriage, kind of like, especially also I heard it's hard for farmers and fishermen on the countryside to find a wife, which apparently seems to be a similar thing in Germany. That's why we have a very popular TV show, which is called Bauer sucht Frau, which translates to
Farmer seeks wife.
pretty much.
Direct translation.
Yeah, it's a very popular TV show where just a farmer wants a wife. She needs to be able to work on the farm. She needs to be able to bake the bread and milk the cows. It's not an easy job.
It sounds like an old, Irish folk song or something, doesn't it? Farmer McGilligan wanted a wife. She needed to be able to work on the farm. Needed to be able to bake the rolls. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much, yep. But as the times change, those farmers find it harder to seek their waifus.
Yeah.
So even in Japan, there are no incentives from the government. That's what I find so funny, that the government thinks it's their deal to get people to get married. So there are consultants, there are meetups, there are gathering events, there's even learn to cook and fall in love at the same time events.
I love it. Okay, cool.
So they're taking it into their hands to make sure that people on the countryside also get hitched, is the word?
Yeah, get hitched. Yep.
Make sure they get hitched.
So, you're looking for love in Japan in the year 2024. How does one proceed?
Right. There are different ways for you to find love in Japan, and especially it got a bit tricky during COVID. A lot of people were struggling during COVID, generally because a lot of people couldn't stand each other's faces anymore during COVID and left each other, or they couldn't meet new people because they were a bit scared of leaving the house.
Yeah, getting up close and personal was not recommended during that period.
Exactly. That was then the great chance and race of dating apps on social media, private messaging. Want to hang out?
All
grab a cup of tea.
That. When I watch YouTube nowadays, I would argue a good 70% of the ads that are served to me are all for dating apps. Various dating apps, but just if I'm going to get an ad, it's almost certainly one of those. And I'm not clicking onto a bunch of things that would make the algorithm think of me in that regard. So it's being pushed down your throat.
Right now, especially one app is doing its very best. This app had a very bad rep in Japan, and it's trying to change that by literally drowning Japan in commercials right now, and that's Tinder.
Tinder
is currently trying to get people to sign onto the app because it had a bit of a bad negative rep.
Yeah.
And now they're literally putting a lot of money at the stations. There will be huge posters of find your true love. Rare event, there will also be LGBTQ plus people like hugging and stuff on posters in Japan. Haven't really seen that before.
Yeah, that's
so they're
rare.
really trying to push everyone's welcome on this app. We're very inclusive. Come on over, find your true love. If you turn on YouTube in Japan right now, they will also, or if you turn on Spotify or similar, they will also keep mentioning that they have now a find your love, and where they actually say the same sentence of the old day of dating is over. Your thinking or how you think love works might be outdated. So they're really trying to get people to sign in. Find your love through Tinder is a big, big thing. They're trying to push down and make sure that people subscribe to there.
When I was young, you would go up to a stranger and start a conversation. But that way of doing things is dead.
Yeah.
Now we find love like this. All right, cool. So why did Tinder have such a bad reputation in Japan?
Bad rep for a variety of reasons. Some of them is when they started out first, Tinder used to actually just mainly be a ground for foreigners to meet Japanese people.
Well,
so it was a lot of girls on there who just wanted to meet a foreigner.
Gaijin hunters, as they're called.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So that was a thing, but plus alpha. Lots of Japanese people are very careful about their privacy and their privacy online. So you generally never actually get to see an image of a real Japanese person. It would just generally be maybe different Winnie the Pooh plushies, cats, plants. And on the guy's side, it will be cars to prove that they have money and can drive you around, watches, and stuff like that.
Were the foreign guys doing that? I got a feeling the foreign guys all a bunch of them with their shirts off, taking a selfie at the gym.
Yeah, that's the foreign guys. The
Japanese dudes, cars, watches, bling, bling, bling.
And then there will be a picture of them, but just their faces covered by a stamp. So you still have no idea what they look like, but they're trying to show I am a person.
Just everyone, if you're gonna come to Japan and you want to engage in romance, just so you're forewarned, it's a different world.
It's very, very different.
Really? So
I asked in our street interviews, how are people nowadays, how you find someone, or how did you find your boyfriend when I was interviewing Japanese girls? And they said a lot of them, they first became friends on Instagram, and then they could check out what are they actually doing, because you get not just the best profile pictures, you get peeps into their life, right? You see them maybe hang out with friends doing like, oh, cheers everyone. So then you start messaging each other, and once you feel a little bit safer, then you might actually start hanging out.
It's what Facebook once was. Now it's on the Instagram.
It's Instagram, yeah. Like the now generation, a lot of them start first on Instagram. There's always, you first have to kind of almost create a sort of trust base before you get to hang out for a lot of girls, because a lot of girls get really serious about dating and such. So you first have to create some sort of trust. So you can't just go, hey girl, you hot, and it's not going to go far. That's no.
I heard something very interesting about this actually recently. It's a bit of a side note, but for men, a lot of the time when men are looking for girlfriends, right, they find the girl, and for the man, that the process has ended because he's like, cool, I found the partner, there we are. But for the female, they get involved with the relationship, and now the process begins. So it's like, where is this going? What are we doing together? How
what
are
are
we
you
proceed?
like?
You know?
Yeah. What are you like? Are we actually having the same interests, the same values?
Can
that
we
kind
build
of stuff?
something together?
Those are the things that girls will look at. And Japanese girls would generally tend to get much more serious at dating, as far as I could see, than the majority of people. That's because there's a lot of like dodgy business happening around in Japan as well. So a lot of girls are like, I don't want to just, hang out with a guy and it turns out he's a playboy.
That's right.
Mentioning playboys, if you happen to be in front of Shibuya Station or Shinjuku Station, be warned of the Nampa guys and the Nampa girls, with the chat up girls and the chat up guys. They will be really friendly. They will come up to you and chat with you, but there's two categories you should be a bit sus about. If the hair is incredibly styled and they have very expensive accessories, they might be working at a host club establishment where you pay for spending time with them and buying them drinks. So they will come to my club. That might be very expensive for you in the end. I'm not sure if girls do that as much, but generally it's the guys that try and recruit people to come to
I think that for the women it's kind of easier because the men will go to their
those clubs. They already know what they're going there for.
If you're a young lady and a well-dressed, interesting haircut, generally skinny man approaches you outside
very
the train
expensive bag or clothes.
They're often very skinny. A lot of them, I look at their legs and I'm like, dude, I can leg kick you once, you will never walk again.
Oh, right.
Well, I can
Let's
though.
not do that though.
Their legs are these chopsticks, like tuck, 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 tuck.
They look a little like very styled. They do a lot of beauty routines and such.
Oh, they look like 10-year-old girls.
Again, that is not that's not finding love in a partner. They're doing that for their job.
Yes, that's
that
business.
Is their work. Part number 2, you need to be careful about are those guys who just hang out at stations, go, hey girl, can I have your number? They will try it in all languages. You can try and pretend that you don't speak Japanese to get away from them. They will then try English. They're very persistent. And before everyone goes like, oh, we know, but they're probably just trying to find love. I'm sorry, it's not that. They're not.
And if you're a gentleman, you're outside particularly one of those stations, Shinjuku or Shibuya, and a gentleman comes and approaches you, normally he's trying to get you into his establishment where you give the ladies money and they take off their clothes.
Exactly. So be careful with that as well. But also those guys who hang out at stations, they fish for girls. Like it's fishing. And once they get their numbers, they usually try to get quite sexual with them. So I'm sorry, even it might feel really nice and flattering if they come up to you and ask you for your number. Please don't fall for it, girls. Just a little warning. That's just fishing.
And there seems to be a thing on the billboards, particularly in Harajuku, saying young girls don't give boys the passwords for your accounts.
Oh, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
That's
not a romance scam.
No, that's not a romance scam. That's something else. But that's just to like promote internet health and security kind of thing.
Oh, I thought that seemed like the number dude would come and flirt with you and be all attractive, then be like, give me your password, and then he'd scam you.
No, that's not what
all right,
it is.
Ignore me.
There's just a government thing where they're trying to to promote internet security
safety,
to
fair
young
enough.
people by having it as big anime characters on the posters. But if you can listen to the announcement in Shinjuku, they will often say, do not follow those people to their establishment. Just be careful. Just a little bit of health and safety out there. So that's one thing. That's a little bit of security for you guys. But where do we find your love? Where do Japanese people find their love? Top 10. So you're maybe playing as dragon hunters and such, and you get to talk with each other, you get along a lot, and maybe, boom, number 10, 2% find their love on online gaming platforms. I find that strangely romantic in an otaku kind of way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When you're having a chat with Magical Elf 74 and it turns out she's the love of your life?
Yeah, and people who slay together stay together.
Oh, I like that, Cathy Cat. That was very good. Number 9. What's number 9?
Number 9 is completely by chance or Nampa. So we're back to the Nampa guys. The guys who just randomly come and chat you up. It might not be at the station, but maybe in a pub or such. They talk with you. Yeah, that's maybe a little bit more natural kind of conversation than those people who say
that's the old-fashioned way of doing it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you just like you see a girl, you like her, you say hi. That kind of stuff. Number 8. Restaurants you often go to.
Again, we get back to what we were talking about last time, how the Japanese really dig their food. So you might be into the same restaurant day after day after day after day because you might have an otaku approach to your eating. And then maybe you find love there.
Yeah, or maybe if you have like a local restaurant you go to a lot, the master kind of knows you, then the master will maybe introduce you and say, oh yeah, this is the so-and-so. She comes here every Thursday.
A friend of mine got in trouble for trying to talk to girls at the izakaya recently because the master came and he was like, listen, these are our regular customers. You don't come in here and try to flirt with them.
Yeah, there's a lot about that. Like generally chat up has become such a problem in Japan that, for example, if you go to just take print kurikura pictures, those little picture machines for photos, they had a time when there was a sign that men are not allowed in there because young guys would go in there and try and chat with the girls who are getting all cute to take their pictures together. And so they actually forbid people to come in because the chat up is such a problem. A lot of Japanese girls can't really deal well with the, leave me alone kind of thing. So they will push a little bit more. It was, I think, a big problem around also certain seasons, like Christmas and such. The guys would get a little bit more aggressive to find girls and make girls feel very uncomfortable. Again, if you make a girl feel uncomfortable, she won't be going to said restaurant, establishment, izakaya again. So you're actually supposed to, in a lot of places, just keep to yourself. And you can get told off if you talk with other customers, depending on what kind of place you're going to. So difficult.
Very difficult.
Number 7. Gokon is like a joint party where you get a couple of young people to come together, have a couple of drinks, play some interesting games.
Oh, the games,
that we're going to be talking about to keep the party really rolling and getting out of control. We're going to mention that in a moment. That's number 7.
It's a funny thing how it's, you put 5 young men and 5 young women in the same room. And you can't just get them talking without doing some ridiculous thing. You have to break the ice somehow.
Quite crazy. We'll explain to you also why it's going to be 5-5 in a moment because we're going to go and feature a little bit more on the Gokon. Number 6.
Other.
That's very indescribable. It's when people are too shy to explain what it actually was. Number 5.
The old social media.
Yes, so Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, X, whatever you want to call it.
That's pretty straightforward. We spoke about it earlier.
You ever mentioned that?
Yep. Number 4, got introduced by your classmates or your senpai or core higher relationship from the school.
That maybe, you work in school.
Yeah, went to school together.
Child, is it Sandcastle?
High school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts, that's the word,
Went
exactly.
to school together. Went to school together.
One German, Sandkastenliebe.
Oh, that's nice. Sandcastle love?
Like when you used to be like in the little sandbox, when
together.
you're like really, really small, like
lovely.
since kindergarten, you know each other.
I got a friend who was with his girlfriend from the age of about 6 or something. And then they grew up and they were dating in high school and everything, and then they got married.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. All right, next one. Colleagues, via friends or colleagues. So someone introduced you to them, which is very important in Japan because it kind of creates a relationship and a connection.
Introductions are quite something in Japan, aren't they? You can't just introduce everybody. Just another quick side note, actually. So the strangest experience I've had in Japan is when I am the link between 2 different Japanese people. This person knows me and this person knows me, but they've never met. And then we organize to meet and they are so awkward with each other. It's just remarkable to the point at which sometimes they don't want to look at each other. They don't want to engage. It's even if we have something in common, like we're all working together or something, they'll be really super duper awkward about it. Have you experienced this?
No.
I've experienced this many times.
All right.
Especially if the meeting is a surprise. Like if they don't know that they're going to meet another Japanese person who knows me, they get really...
I don't know.
freaked
I
out.
generally like try when there's like big events, like for example the Harajuku Fashion Walk. I try to find those people who seem like they're like awkward, and then I just go like, "Hey, you, where are you from? You do this? Okay." And then I grab the other person. I'm like, "You know what? You have this and this in common." And then they kind of relieved that they had the introduction,
Really?
and then they usually spend their time with each other and even become friends. So I'm really glad to see that. I
So
do
you
that
walk
quite a lot.
around Halloween events matchmaking?
Did I say Halloween? I thought I said Harajuku.
Sorry,
Fashion Walk.
Harajuku. Hey, but hang on, wait. You walk around public events matchmaking?
I didn't say it's for love. I just say for making friends.
Oh, all right, very good.
So
Okay, fair enough.
just sometimes people need that extra little bit of like, it's okay, you can talk with them.
I was going to say, you
There's
can add
something in
another 11 to this list via Cathy Cat. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
All right, next one is dating apps. They
Dating
have
app.
now risen to number 2, which
Mhm.
they were not there before.
The Tinder, the Tapple, the With, the Omii. We'll go on to the rest of them later.
And number 1
At
is
the orifice.
at the office or maybe doing a part-time job.
Mhm.
Where people meet the most, where it used to be, as we said it at the start. So still, working together with someone might make your heart go working a little bit better with each other. So apart from the overall trend, there's a difference in places where people can meet for casual love and marriage.
Right.
A lot of Japanese people go very, very deep into the relationship, and there's
Yeah.
less like the hookup Tinder culture.
Mm.
It's more the let's find someone to marry, since marriage used to be
Big
the
arrangement.
thing.
Yeah.
The thing. So, search for casual lover is called koi katsu.
Mhm.
So if you heard koi, that's already love in there.
Mhm.
And search for marriage is konkatsu.
Mhm.
From kekkon, the word for marriage.
Mhm.
So, what we're going to be focusing on a little bit more this time
Mhm.
is the dating apps.
The technology.
The new world of dating apps. While on the next episodes, we're going to be talking a little bit about different other ways that exist in Japan. So now you're coming to Japan. You installed a dating app and you're like, let's find someone.
Mhm.
First of all, don't be surprised you won't see many faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see photos of weird landscapes and
and things that they like. They take pictures of things that they like I like
Mickey
hiking.
Mouse
There's a
plushies.
Oh yeah, if the Japanese girls generally, a lot of them love Disney, so there will be a lot of pictures of Disney and such
not-
as well.
Helpful. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here's a photo of Mickey Mouse who I love. I'm like, well, you're the same as 99.9% of the population.
You
What
still
makes
don't.
you unique?
You still don't know who you're actually going to meet. Is
Yeah,
probably
right.
one of the big problems.
And how
there.
do you recognize them? You're waiting at the gate of the station or whatever. She's going to walk around with this Mickey Mouse toy in front of her face. How are you supposed to know who she is?
Maybe that's what she does.
Maybe she does.
Maybe.
She's
So
like a Mickey Mouse toy mask.
I understand that Japanese people want to be really safe online, but at the same time, if you don't put your picture up, they're never going to know what they're swiping for. Was it left or right? Left or right? One is the good, one is the bad. One is the good and one is the bad.
Your options are as follows. It's number 1, there's the Tinder. I'm sure you all know about that from the place you came from.
And we mentioned it right at the start.
That's right, we pumped it up already. Tinder should sponsor this, for crying out loud. We even a lot of free episodes. There's
But the problem is we haven't quite tapped into other problems with Tinder. Right? Tinder is also not so popular.
Yeah, right, okay. So what
We
ruins
had
Tinder's
the
reputation?
foreigner hunters. We
Mhm.
had the non-showing faces. We had a lot before, and a couple of years ago, it just used to be people wanted to find friends.
Really? On
Yeah.
Tinder?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like, guys, do you know the concept of this app? But they're trying to brush up their image right now because they also have a big problem with scammers.
No, it's the scams on Tinder.
So
One
if
of
you
my
s-
mates is,
yeah.
he's looking for love on the electronic services, and he said he stopped using Tinder because it was just nothing but scammers.
Hmm.
So they're trying to clean up that image.
What kind of scam is it? Just like catfishing, or what is it?
I think a lot of them is they'll have the photo is a beautiful girl, so that's your first red flag because it's not a Mickey Mouse toy; it's actually a face, and it's a beautiful female face. And then she'll say hi, and then straight away she's into, hey, I've been making lots of money buying Bitcoin online with this trading service. You only have to invest. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Here's a link. He said there was a lot of that.
Oh, well. Yeah. I think that's why Tinder can spend as much money on commercials and stuff as they want to. But if they don't sort out the scammer issue, then they're not going to get to their ideal goal of more people signing up for it. So just be careful. There's a lot of scammers. I hope they will maybe install some better security or something like that to make it a bit safer. I assume with all the money that they're spending on commercials right now, I hope they're also spent some extra on the security and just making sure that less scammers are using your services.
Number 2, you have still a lot of Japanese services, so exclusively made in Japan, by Japan, for the Japanese. So biggest one of them is called Tapple.
You tap too much people and then you can see each other's profile. Seems to
tap
be
to
the
match
thing.
service. I think these are paid services, by the way. Once you get past Tinder, I think you got to pay for them, don't you?
I'm not
Japanese
sure
ones?
if you have
I
to
also
pay
don't
for
know either.
Tapple.
With is the name of another one. I'm pretty sure you need to pay for With.
With? I don't
told you
know.
to
You
pay
know
for
with. I didn't know what it is.
I only know these things because, like I said, it's 70% of my YouTube ads are for these dating services. So all I can,
They want to make sure that
I know there's this Tapper. No, there's Rizu. And there's another Tinder one. Yet it's too new.
Oh, they're really trying to get into the market right now.
Big time.
So there's another one which is very Japanese.
Dine.
Because Japanese are big foodies, so you try and find someone to dine with.
So you match on your taste in food. I guess convenient.
I
on
mean,
one
like
level?
you go to tasty restaurants and during your love for tasty food, you might experience some love feelings for the other person you're having the tasty food with.
So if you want to get nudie with a foodie, you can go to Dine. That's the way to get that done.
Not sure of that. Anyways, next one is one that got actually really popular online and viral, which was called otakoi.
Oh.
It's the word of koi for love. If you listen, you know koi, love. So and otaku, which is the geeks, the nerds.
The nerds.
Otakoi.
So, nerd love.
Nerd love.
If you're into your internet a little bit too much, you're into dark rooms and online games, well, they've got the service for you.
I mean, they kind of almost became viral because they so obviously used AI art. So they would have like your usual otaku in not his best day.
Just
Your
fat,
usual,
bald glasses.
and then next to him, the most gorgeous looking, tiny, petite, young
Supermodel looking chick you've ever seen.
supermodel AI. Clearly AI. So
Very funny.
they kind of started doing that so much that it became, because it was so ridiculously AI photoshopped, that they started to become a meme.
It's become a meme. So now a lot of the kids, like for their own profile photos, they'll take a selfie, cover their face with a stamp, and then just use the Otakoi logo next to them.
Exactly. So it just became like apparently a full-on meme with some guy with the AI perfection right
Pretty
next to them.
hilarious,
But
isn't it?
apparently girls are on that app. So maybe they got the meme better than other people did. But
Is it only otaku girls who are on the app? Or is it only otaku guys who are on the app? Or is it just now everyone's on the app because they did such a good job with their viral PR campaign?
I guess with that viral PR campaign got
Anyone
at least
know?
people looking, which is the most important thing for most
Oh,
of these
fair
apps.
enough. Yeah.
A little flashback. How did, at least I heard that somewhere. You're free to correct me if you're wrong, because the internet always knows better and you can Google absolutely everything. But what I heard is that, for example, the way that Facebook got so big was that people went to those frat houses and universities, and first they went to the girls' place and will like get them all to sign up for their ads. I think it was Tinder or it was Facebook. First they got the girls in, and then they go over to the boys' place at the university and say like, hey, all those cute girls from over there are on this app. So obviously the boys will go, oh sure, now I'll join. And then they start talking, and that has been the manual approach for dating apps for start. So they usually try to first get some cute girls on the app, and then the boys will come naturally, and then the app will get bigger. Now, they pulled this stunt a couple of times for the universities until universities started getting tired of people trying to promote their apps. But that's a trick to get people to sign up for apps. Yeah.
So if you're starting a dating app, that's the way to do it.
Apparently. But generally, I would be very careful with dating apps in Japan, as Japanese people are very careful with it. And if they're not careful, then you should be careful.
Yeah, you might just find that the people you're matching with are not necessarily looking for the same things that you're looking for with the app.
Either for a tasty meal, or maybe for friendship, or maybe to sell you something that
Say
you don't
some-
want to buy.
Yeah, it could be a lot of that.
Gotta be a bit careful with that. But certainly everywhere in the online world, which we said right at the start of this episode,
Didn't we?
be careful in the online world. But we have prepared some more things about dating in Japan and popular ways for people to come together nowadays that are not connected to apps that you want to know about if you actually want to get an authentic relationship in Japan. And that's what we're going to be talking about
Next time
in the next episode of Cat.
We've messed that up.
No,
Totally.
we did definitely miss
That's
that
what we're going to be talking about next time in another enthralling, riveting, life-changing, so spectacularizing episode of
Cat with Beard.
That was much better. We should do that every time. That was much better. Goodbye.
Bye.